So Dave, a big piece of this equation about showing progress on water quality and soil quality in Iowa really hinges on the farmer-landowner relationship. So what are you seeing that is working, and how are you at Peoples encouraging more cooperation between the two?
Yeah, you absolutely have to have alignment. So one of the key pieces is just being incredibly transparent. What are the landowner goals? And when we're representing a landowner, that means sitting down and having the conversation. What's important to you? How do we see your long-term asset value and the growth of that value really being materialized in the management plan? We put that into a conservation amendment within a lease structure, and then we have to have a farmer that has the same vision that fits with that lease and with that landowner set of goals. And when you can create that alignment, then you can find value, and it really does have to hinge around value for both parties as well as just those personal interests.
Are you seeing these conversations happening a bit easier and more frequently?
I would say yes. Certainly that's a bit of a generalization. It's not there in all cases, and you find a lot of different kinds of landowners and their level of engagement in some of these kinds of conversations. But as a general theme, certainly the popularity of the topic has grown.
So Roger, for the farmers watching this, what practices should they be aware of that are really showing that kind of promise and results that are also workable for, dare I say, the average farmer in Iowa?
You know, I think simply today, if we're going to address water quality, the table stakes to think about really are infield practices. We need to have less tillage. Tillage and soil disturbance is probably the biggest factor on the health of our soil to begin with. And then nutrient management. I mean, you got to have good soil management, and then you have to have good nutrient management. And fortunately, we have great tools today. Our ag retailers are equipped for this. Precision agriculture is becoming a bigger deal, and it makes economic sense for the farmers, and goes back to what Dave was saying about a value proposition. And if the landowners are buying into that vision, and you have operators buying into that vision, and you're making money, and there has to be money on both sides of the equation. So fundamental infield reduced tillage is key, and fortunately we're seeing a good upswing in no-till and strip-till. You bring in cover crops would be then the third tier, because you're adding carbon to that soil. And then finally, we would look at edge of field practices where we can trap and treat some of the nutrients that might be lost from the farm field.
Well, we're here at the shed, and of course, when you're talking table stakes, it fits. And we talk about icing on the cake. What would be for the farmer who is down the road a bit on some of these practices? What else could they be looking at doing to maybe take that next step?
Well, I think there's multiple levels. You can be more advanced, and at Iowa Soybean Association, we do a lot of on-farm research, and so where you can compare and contrast a conventional practice against an alternative, you look at that data and you see how it responds. You also, with precision agriculture, remote sensing, and yield monitoring combines, you can begin to understand how these practices start impacting the bottom line, and that's a big deal. So the more advanced you are, the more data and information you bring into the equation, the better decision making that can occur.
And Dave, from People's standpoint, what are you seeing in terms of the practices that are really taking off? It could be maybe the landowner is maybe a bit predisposed to a certain practice, or maybe it's the farmer, and maybe they gel around the same practices, but which are you seeing that are showing the greatest promise and the greatest progress right now?
Yeah, so certainly the tillage practices that Roger mentioned are a pretty big deal. And when you're starting to talk about land that falls into that more highly erodible category, that's where you really see a lot of movement. And there's a lot of landowners that own that land that are in our portfolio. We have a cover crop program that we've put in place with Stein Seed that is gaining some traction, and certainly that fits within the whole matrix of different cover crop support opportunities that are out there. That is certainly a step that we're seeing quite a bit of progress on. And then what's really interesting is the precision management elements. So being very precise about nutrient management, being very precise about integrated pest management, those sorts of elements are becoming more and more available and implementable within the system.
So within Peoples, for farmers interested in learning more about the cover crop program that you mentioned with Stein, where can they go for more information?
Sure, it's available, information's available right on the website, peoplescompany.com.
And Roger, for those who want to drill in a bit deeper on some of these practices, where would you recommend they go?
Well, Aaron, I'm going to promote our website at Iowa Soybean Association. And there's a lot of information on there, and you can take a deep dive into research results, and you can hear from other farmers and how it's worked for them, and usually that's the best source of information.
And also if they're interested in cost share opportunities and the financial side, because we know that can be a hurdle, but that can also be an opportunity.
Yeah, today there's more financial assistance available all over the place, whether it's the federal NRCS, the state Department of Agriculture. Usually the soil and water conservation districts are a good conduit to gain access to that, and then where we have organized watershed projects where we're focusing in, there's extra resources available for those farmers, and so that and at Iowa Soybean Association we tend to be a matchmaker and a facilitator to help people get aligned with cost share opportunities and assistance.